Dear students, welcome to the lecture on torsion analysis of non-circular bars using Sen-Venance method. This lecture covers the second portion of Module 5 of the course Advanced Mechanics of Solids. In this lecture, we will begin with a quick review on torsion of circular shafts, which we have already studied in the third semester. Then you will be introduced to the torsion of non-circular shafts. We will see how the torsion of non-circular shaft is different from torsion of circular shaft. Also, you will be introduced to the concept of warping. Then we will learn in detail the Sen-Venance method used for the torsion analysis of non-circular shaft. Also, we will see the application of Sen-Venance method for the torsion analysis of circular shaft and the torsion analysis of elliptical shaft. Torsion of a circular shaft. Consider a shaft of length L which is subjected to a torque T. The left end of the shaft is assumed to be fixed. As a result of the applied torque, the right end of the shaft twists by an angle equal to theta. The angle BAB' is a shear strain gamma. Let J be the polar moment of inertia. For a circular section, the polar moment of inertia is given by pi d raised to 4 by 32. G be the modulus of rigidity of the material. We have already studied the torsion formula for the shaft T by J equal to tau by R equal to G theta by L, where tau is the shear stress at a distance R from the center. The figure on the right hand side shows the stress distribution across the cross section. We see that the shear stress will be minimum at the center and will be maximum at the outer radius. The assumptions used for deriving the above formula are: the material is homogeneous, that is of uniform elastic properties throughout the material. The material is elastic, that is it follows Hooke's law with shear stress proportional to shear strain. The stress does not exceed the elastic limit. The circular section remains circular, cross section remains plane, cross section rotates as if rigid, that is every diameter rotates through the same angle. The first three assumptions here are equally applicable for the non-circular shafts. But the last three assumptions are not applicable for the analysis of non-circular shafts. Especially, to be more precise, the cross-section does not remain plane for a non-circular shaft when it is subjected to a torque. We'll see the difference between torsion of a circular shaft and torsion of a non-circular shaft. In the first figure, we see a circular shaft. On the surface of the circular shaft, horizontal and vertical grid lines are drawn. In the second figure, the circular shaft is subjected to a torque. We see that the horizontal lines gets deformed as a result of the twist, whereas the vertical lines remains vertical. Why vertical lines remains vertical is because the cross-section plane remains plane for a circular shaft during the twist. To be more precise, if you consider any point on the cross-section of the plane, cross-section of the shaft, during the twist, none of the points moves along the axis of the shaft. Now, in the third figure, we see a non-circular shaft which is subjected to a torque. Here we see that the horizontal lines as well as the vertical grid lines gets deformed during the twist. Here what happens is that the points along the cross section of the shaft move along the axis of the shaft during the twist. This movement of the particle is known as warping. Warping is defined as the longitudinal movement of particles of a non-circular shaft when it is subjected to a torque. In the case of a circular shaft which is subjected to a torque, we can use the torsion formula T by J is equal to tau by R is equal to G theta by L to find out the shear stress tau for any radius R, or to find out the angle of twist theta for any length L. This formula cannot be applied in the case of a non-circular shaft. Now, in the torsion of non-circular shafts, basically two different methods are used. The first method is Senne-Venant's method and the second method is Prandtl's method. In the remaining part of this lecture, we will learn Senne-Venant's method for the analysis of non-circular shaft subjected to a torque. Also, we will see the application of Senne-Venant's method for the torsion analysis of circular shaft and the torsion analysis of an elliptical shaft. Now we will see the Senne-Venant's method for the torsion analysis of non-circular shaft. The first figure shows a non-circular shaft. The origin is fixed at the left end and the z-axis is along the axis of the shaft. The left end of the shaft is fixed and a torque T is applied on the right end of the shaft. The right end of the shaft will twist with respect to the left end as a result of the applied torque. Let theta be the angle of twist per unit length. The second figure shows the cross-sectional plane of the right end of the shaft. S is the boundary of the cross-section and R represents the region bounded at the cross-section. Since the angle of twist per unit length is theta, the right end of the shaft will twist with respect to the left end by an angle equal to theta into Z as a result of the applied torque T. You consider a point P on the right end of the shaft. After the twist, the point P will get shifted to P dash. Now you consider the third figure. So point P, whose coordinates are x, y, z, will get moved to P dash as a result of the twist. The angle of twist is theta into z. Point P will move by a distance u along the x direction and by a distance v along the vertical direction. The movement of P will be tangential, that is, P dash P will be perpendicular to OP. If beta is the angle between OP and the horizontal, we will get the angle between P dash and the vertical as beta. From the third figure above, we see the displacement components along the x and y directions as u is equal to minus r into theta into z into sine beta. The negative sign is because u is along the negative x direction. The displacement along the y direction v is equal to r into theta into z into cos beta. From the figure, we also see that sine beta is equal to y by r and cos beta is equal to x by r. Substituting for sine beta and cos beta in the above equations, we get the displacement along the x direction u is equal to minus theta into y into z, and the displacement along the y direction v is equal to theta into x into z. As we have already discussed, when a non-circular shaft is subjected to torque, the cross-section will undergo warping. That is, in addition to the x and y displacements, point P will undergo displacement along the axis of the shaft, that is, along the z direction. The displacement in the z direction will be a function of x and y alone. That is, W can be written as W is equal to theta into psi of xy, where psi of xy is a function which is called Senne-Venance warping function. We see that the displacement components of a point P whose coordinates are x, y, z in a non-circular shaft which is subject to a torque T is given by u is equal to minus theta into y into z, v is equal to theta into x into z, and w is equal to theta into psi of xy, where psi of xy is a Senne-Venance warping function. Now, we make use of the strain displacement equations as given on the right hand side to find out the strain components. When you substitute for u, v and w in the 6 strain displacement relations given on the right hand side, we will get the strain components as epsilon xx is equal to epsilon yy equal to epsilon zz equal to gamma xz equal to 0. So only two strain components exist, which are gamma yz is equal to theta into dou psi by dou y plus x, and gamma xz is equal to theta into dou psi by dou x minus y. Now we make use of the Hooke's law to find out the corresponding stress components. We will get the stress component sigma xx is equal to sigma yy equal to sigma zz equal to tau xy equal to 0. So the only two stress components which exist are tau yz, which is equal to g into gamma yz equal to g into theta into dou psi by dou y plus x. The stress component tau xz is equal to g into gamma xz, which is equal to g into theta into dou psi by dou x minus y. Now these stress components should satisfy the equilibrium equations given below. Since only tau yz and tau xz exist, the first two equilibrium equations, all the terms are 0. When we substitute for tau xz and tau yz in the third equilibrium equation, we get g theta into dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square is equal to 0, which gives dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square equal to 0. Thus, we see that the Senne-Venance warping function psi should satisfy the Laplace equation in the region R, that is dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square equal to 0. Now you consider the cross section of the non-circular shaft as shown in the figure. We are considering an elemental length delta S on the boundary of the cross section. Let delta x and delta y be the x and y components of delta S. N is the outward normal at that particular point. The direction cosines of the outward normal N are Nx, Ny and 0. We know that the direction cosine Nx is equal to cosine of the angle between N and X. From the triangle, we will get Nx is equal to delta y by delta S. When delta S is infinitesimally small, we will get the direction cosine Nx is equal to dy by ds. Also, we see that the direction cosine Ny is equal to cosine of the angle between N and y axis, which is equal to minus delta x by delta S. When delta S is infinitesimally small, we get the direction cosine Ny equal to minus dx by ds. Applying the equations for the boundary conditions as we have learned in the second module, the equations are sigma xx into nx plus tau xy into ny plus tau xz into nz is equal to x bar, tau xy into nx plus sigma yy into ny plus tau yz into nz is equal to y bar, tau xz into nx plus tau yz into ny plus sigma yy into nz is equal to z bar, where x bar, y bar and z bar are the externally applied forces along the x, y and z directions respectively. Now, in the case of a non-circular shaft subjected to external torque, the only externally applied load is the torque. The external forces along the x bar, x, y and z directions are equal to 0. So x bar equal to y bar is equal to z bar equal to 0. Also, we have seen that the stress components sigma xx, sigma yy, sigma zz and tau xy are equal to 0. Also, the direction cosine nz is also equal to 0. So we see that all the terms in the first two equations are equal to 0. Substituting for tau xz and tau yz, in the third equation we get g theta into dou psi by dou x minus y into nx plus g theta into dou psi by dou y plus x into ny equal to 0. Substituting for the direction cosines nx and ny, that is nx is equal to dy by ds and ny is equal to minus dx by ds, we get that the warping function psi should satisfy the condition dou psi by dou x minus y into dy by ds minus dou psi by dou y plus x into dx by ds is equal to 0 along the boundary of the cross section. Thus, we see that the Svensson's warping function psi should be such that it satisfies the equation 1, that is dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square is equal to 0 in the region R, and equation 2 on the boundary S. For the equilibrium of the shaft, the sum of the moments of the internal stresses should be equal to the externally applied torque at any cross section. At a specific cross section, the sum of the moments of the internal stresses, that is tau yz and tau xz, is given by tau yz into x minus tau xz into y. Integrate it over the entire cross-sectional region R. Equating this moment due to the internal stresses to the externally applied torque, we get applied torque T is equal to double integral over the region R tau yz into x minus tau xz into y into dx dy. Substituting for the shear stresses tau yz and tau xz from equation 6 and equation 7, we get applied torque T is equal to g theta into double integral over the region R x square plus y square plus x into dou psi by dou y minus y into dou psi by dou x into dx dy. Now, let the Svensson's torsion constant be defined as J is equal to double integral over the region R x square plus y square plus x into dou psi by dou y minus y into dou psi by dou x into dx dy. Substituting this expression in the expression for the applied torque, we get T equal to G into J into theta. In this expression, G into J is called torsional rigidity. When theta is equal to 1 unit, applied torque T is equal to G into J. This gives the definition for the torsional rigidity. The torsional rigidity is defined as the torque required to produce a unit twist per unit length. Now we will summarize the Svensson's method which we have learned used for the analysis of torsion of non-circular shaft. In order to solve a problem using Svensson's method, we will be given the geometry of the shaft, that is the shape of the cross section and the length of the shaft. Also, we will be given the material property of the shaft, namely modulus of rigidity G. In addition, the value of the applied torque T will be given. We need to find out the shear stress developed, the angle of twist per unit length, also the displacement components U, V and W, where W is the warping. First, we got to find out a suitable warping function psi. The warping function psi selected should be such that it should satisfy the equation dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square is equal to 0. That is the Laplace equation in the region R, that is the cross-sectional region. The Sennen's warping function psi should also satisfy the condition dou psi by dou x minus y into dy by ds minus dou psi by dou y plus x into dx by ds along the boundary S of the cross section. Once we have obtained a suitable warping function psi which satisfies the condition 1 and 2, the Sennen's torsion constant J can be calculated using the expression J is equal to double integral over the region R x square plus y square plus x into dou psi by dou y minus y into dou psi by dou x into dx dy. After getting the value of the Sennen's torsion constant J, the angle of twist per unit length, that is theta, can be found out using the expression T is equal to G into J into theta. Knowing the warping function psi, we can calculate the shear stress components tau yz and tau xz using the expressions tau yz is equal to g theta into dou psi by dou y plus x and tau xz is equal to g theta into dou psi by dou x minus y. The displacement components u, v and w can be calculated using the expressions u is equal to minus theta into y into z, v is equal to theta into x into z and w is equal to theta into psi of xy. Now, Sennen's method for the analysis of torsion of non-circular shaft is a general method and it can be used for analyzing non-circular as well as circular shaft subject to torque. We will see how Sennen's method can be used for the torsion analysis of circular shaft first. Applying the Sennen's method for a circular shaft, we should obtain the expressions for the shear stress and the angle of twist, which should be in perfect agreement with the torsion formula which we have studied earlier. Let us assume that the Sennen's warping function psi is equal to constant, that is psi is equal to c. Now substituting psi is equal to c in the expression dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square, we will get the value of the expression as 0. Thus, the warping function psi is equal to c satisfies the Laplace equation. Now, at the boundary of the cross section, the Sennen's warping function psi should satisfy the condition dou psi by dou x minus y into dy by ds minus dou psi by dou y plus x into dx by ds is equal to 0. Substituting psi is equal to c in the above expression, we get minus y into dy by ds minus x into dx by ds is equal to 0. That is, d by ds of x square plus y square by 2 is equal to 0, which gives x square plus y square is equal to constant. That is, the Sennen's warping function psi is equal to constant satisfies the boundary condition when the boundary is circular. That is, the warping function psi is equal to constant is a suitable warping function for a circular shaft. We will find out the expression for the Sennen's torsion constant J in the case of the circular section using the formula J is equal to double integral over the region R x square plus y square plus x into dou psi by dou y minus y into dou psi by dou x into dx into dy. Substituting psi is equal to c, we get j is equal to double integral over the region R x square plus y square into dx into dy, because dou psi by dou y equal to dou psi by dou x is equal to 0. We know by the definition of the polar moment of inertia, double integral over the region R x square plus y square into dx into dy is the polar moment of inertia. Thus we get Sven-Nernst torsion constant for the circular section J is equal to IP, the polar moment of inertia of the circle. Hence we get T is equal to G into IP into theta, where T is the applied torque, G is the modulus of rigidity, IP is the polar moment of inertia, theta is equal to twist per unit length. That is, T by IP is equal to G into theta. This is equivalent to the torsion formula which we have studied in the third semester. T by J is equal to G theta by L. There, theta by L represents the twist per unit length, which is theta here. Thus, we get the angle of twist per unit length for a circular section as theta is equal to T divided by G into IP. The displacement along the z direction, that is along the axis, W is equal to theta into psi. Substituting for theta and psi, we get W is equal to T divided by G into IP into C. Since all the terms on the right hand side of the above expression are constant for a given torque at any point in the cross section or on any cross section, W is a constant. At the origin, the displacement along the axis W is 0. So, the value of W at every point in the cross section is 0. This means for the circular section, the section does not warp on the application of the torque. To find the shear stresses, we use the formula tau yz is equal to G into theta into x. Substituting for theta, we get tau yz is equal to T into x divided by IP. Similarly, the shear stress tau xz is equal to minus G into theta into y. Substituting for theta, we get tau xz is equal to minus T into y divided by IP. The resultant shear stress is given by tau square is equal to tau xz square plus tau yz square, which is equal to T square into x square plus y square divided by IP square. X square plus y square is equal to R square, where R is the distance from the origin, that is the intersection of x and y axis, to the point P. In the case of the circular section, R represents the radius vector at point P. Thus we get tau square is equal to T square into R square divided by IP square, or T by IP is equal to tau divided by R, which is equivalent to the formula T by J is equal to tau by R, which we have studied in the third semester. Now, the direction of the resultant stress is given by tan alpha is equal to tau yz by tau xz. Substituting for tau yz and tau xz, we get G into theta into x divided by minus G into theta into y. That is, tau alpha is equal to minus x by y. This indicates that the resultant stress is perpendicular to the radius vector at point P, or the resultant stress is tangential at the point P. This is in perfect agreement with what we have studied in the torsion formula. We will apply the Sven-Nernst method in the case of an elliptical shaft subjected to a torque T, and we will obtain the expression for the shear stress and the angle of twist per unit length theta. Let the Sven-Nernst warping function psi is equal to A into xy, where A is a constant. Now, the warping function psi should satisfy the Laplace equation dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square. In the case of psi is equal to axy, we get dou square psi by dou x square equal to dou square psi by dou y square equal to 0. Thus, Laplace equation is satisfied. Now, the Sennen's warping function should also satisfy the boundary condition dou psi by dou x minus y into dy by ds minus dou psi by dou x plus x into dx by ds equal to 0. Substituting for psi, that is psi is equal to a into xy, we get a into y minus y into dy by ds minus a into x plus x into dx by ds is equal to 0, which gives y into a minus 1 into dy by ds minus x into a plus 1 into dx by ds equal to 0. Multiplying all the terms by 2, we get a plus 1 into 2x into dx by ds minus 2y into a minus 1 into dy by ds equal to 0. That implies d by ds of a plus 1 into x square minus a minus 1 into y square equal to 0, because when we take the derivative of the terms within the square bracket with respect to s, we will get the previous equation. Thus, we get a plus 1 into x square minus a minus 1 into y square is equal to a constant c. The above equation is of the form x square by a square plus y square by b square is equal to 1. This is the equation for an ellipse. This shows that the warping function psi is equal to a into xy satisfies the boundary condition when the boundary is an elliptical in shape, or in other words, the warping function psi is equal to a into xy is a suitable warping function for an elliptical section. Now, comparing equations 2 and 3, we get small a square by b square is equal to 1 minus a by 1 plus a, which implies capital A is equal to b square minus a square divided by b square plus a square, where small letter a and b represents the semi-major and minor axis of the elliptical section. Substituting in equation 1 for capital A, we get the Sennen's warping function psi is equal to b square minus a square divided by b square plus a square into x into y. This represents the warping function for an elliptical bar with semi-axis A and B under torsion. The Sennen's torsion constant will be obtained as J is equal to double integral over the region R x square plus y square plus a into x square minus a into y square into dx into dy. This we obtain by substituting for psi in the is equal to a into xy in the expression for the Sennen's torsion constant J. We get J is equal to a plus 1 into double integral over the region R x square into dx into dy plus 1 minus a into double integral over the region R y square into dx into dy. We know that for any plane area, double integral over the region R x square into dx into dy is the second moment of the area with respect to the y-axis represented by I subscript y. Also, double integral over the region R y square into dx into dy represents the second moment of area with respect to the x-axis represented by I subscript x. Thus, we get J is equal to a plus 1 into iy plus 1 minus a into ix. The second moment of the area for an elliptical section about the x-axis is given by ix is equal to pi into a b cube divided by 4. Also, the second moment of the area about the y-axis for an elliptical section is given by iy is equal to pi into a cube b divided by 4. Substituting for capital A from equation 4, also ix and iy in the expression for the Sennen's torsion constant, we get J is equal to pi a cube b cube divided by a square plus b square. The applied torque T is equal to G into J into theta. Substituting for the Sennen's torsion constant J, we get T is equal to G into theta into pi a cube b cube divided by a square plus b square. Or the angle of twist per unit length theta is equal to T into a square plus b square divided by G into pi A cube B cube. To obtain the expression for the shear stress, we use the formula shear stress tau yz is equal to g theta into dou psi by dou y plus x. Substituting for theta and psi from equation 8 and equation 5 respectively will give tau yz is equal to t into a square plus b square divided by pi a cube b cube into b square minus a square divided by b square plus a square plus 1 into x. Simplifying, we get tau yz is equal to 2 into t into x divided by pi a cube b. Similarly, the shear stress tau xz is equal to g into theta into dou psi by dou x minus y. Substituting for theta and psi from equations 8 and 5 respectively, we get tau xz is equal to t into a square plus b square divided by pi a cube b cube into b square minus a square by b square plus a square plus 1 into y. Simplifying, tau xz is equal to 2 into t into y divided by pi a b cube. Resultant stress is given by tau is equal to tau xz square plus tau yz square whole raised to half. Substituting for the shear stresses tau xz and tau yz, we get resultant shear stress tau is equal to 2t divided by pi a cube b cube into b raised to 4 x into x square plus a raised to 4 into y square whole raised to half. To find the expression for the maximum shear stress, consider the equation for the ellipse x square by a square plus y square by b square is equal to 1, from which we can write x square is equal to a square into 1 minus y square by b square. Substituting this in the expression for the resultant shear stress, we get tau is equal to 2t divided by pi a cube b cube into a square into b raised to 4 plus a square into a square minus b square into y square the whole raised to half. The resultant shear stress tau will be maximum when y is maximum, that is at y is equal to b. That is, the maximum shear stress tau max is equal to 2t divided by pi a cube b cube into a raised to 4 into b square whole raised to half, which gives the maximum shear stress tau max is equal to 2t divided by pi a b square. To find out the warping in the case of an elliptical cross section subject to a torque, we make use of the expression displacement along the z direction w is equal to theta into psi. Substituting for theta and psi from the equations 8 and 5 respectively, we get w is equal to t into b square minus a square divided by pi a cube b cube into g whole into xy. The figure here shows an elliptical cross section showing contour lines of constant w. We can see that in quadrant first and third we have w negative, that is there will be a depression, whereas in quadrants second and fourth w is positive, that is there will be a projection. I will summarize what we have learned in this lecture. We started on with a quick recap on the torsion formula for a circular shaft, which we had learned in the third semester. Then we saw the torsion of a non-circular shaft, how it is different from the torsion of a circular shaft. You were introduced to the concept of warping. Then we learned the Sennen's method in detail for the torsion analysis of non-circular shafts. And finally, we have applied the Sennen's method, which we have learned, for the torsion analysis of a circular shaft and for the torsion analysis of an elliptical shaft. Thank you very much, students, for your patient listening.